You're listening to the Fitness Matters podcast with Paula B, and this is episode number 213, When Other People Don't Support Your Weight Loss. Welcome to the Fitness Matters podcast, where every week we talk about the fitness matters that matter to you. I'm Paula B, YouTuber, certified life and weight loss coach, soon-to-be author, and your best middle-aged fitness friend. Are you ready to talk about the fitness mindset that matters to you? Me too. Let's go. Hello, my friends. It's so good to be here with you again. You guys, before we even get into today's topic, I want to remind you that the Paula B Book Club is still going strong during the month of December in partnership with Chirp Audiobooks. This month, we are reading The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. We're going to be talking about this closer to the end of the month, so you've got plenty of time to head on over to Chirp Audiobooks and use the code PAULA5. That's PAHLA and the number 5 with no spaces. If you are brand new to Chirp Audiobooks, that code will get you $5 off of your first purchase. Super exciting stuff, and I cannot wait to talk to you about this book. Okay, but in the meantime, I cannot wait to talk to you about this topic. You guys, this is... I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and I don't mean to be culturally insensitive, but I truly feel like this time of year, it almost doesn't matter where you live, what you celebrate, what you do. I think this is just that time of year when people are kind of pushing food at you. Am I right? I know they're pushing food at me. And again, that could be because of what I celebrate and who I am and where I go and the people I see and things like that. And truly, this is a year-round topic. I think really specifically about this kind of topic anytime I attend a birthday party or a wedding or really see people at all. And I think that this is not just a timely topic, but I think that this is an important topic to talk to you about. No matter where you are on your weight loss journey, there will be people who don't support you. And I say that with love. I say that with kindness. I say that not because it's me, because I absolutely support you on your weight loss journey, but there will be people who don't. And it's okay. This is why I wanted to talk to you about this today. I want you to know that you can navigate this situation and actually feel amazing about your weight loss journey, no matter what other people say or do or how they behave or how they act or any of it. You, my friend, are in control of your weight loss journey, no matter what other people say or do. That is probably my number one takeaway here. And I'm coming at this topic. First of all, this is the third time that I am recording this podcast. This was all technical difficulties, all user error. So I've had some practice talking about this, and here's what I've noticed. This is a difficult topic because I actually have a couple of different ways that I'm coming at it. So I'm trying to organize my own thoughts in a way that can be helpful to you, like the most helpful to you. And here's where I want to start. I want to just define what I think of as the problem of other people not supporting your weight loss. Personally, I think it comes in a couple of different forms. I do think it comes in the form of food pushers, like we just talked about. The people who are always like, oh, did you have the donuts in the break room? Oh, I think you should have another slice of pie, or you should really try the whatever. The people who are always trying to get you to eat. And then we have the backhanded complimenters. This is, I think, the one that I have probably the most experience with. And I mean, not to throw anybody under the bus, but there is one particular person in my life who will say things like, oh, must be nice to have so much willpower. And it's kind of a compliment. And it's kind of really not. It is the sort of comment that I think is intended to induce a level of guilt or a level of, mostly guilt. Truly is how I hear it. Whether or not that's the way it's meant. I mean, I'm sure the speaker means it as a compliment. But then there are also, and I know you've had experience with this, we all have, there are the people who just full on insult you, who just absolutely blurt out the thing on their mind, like, yeah, you looked so much better before you lost weight, or, you're looking kind of old now, or you look a little bit sick now that you're so thin, or just, I tend to, here's where I'm going to start with this. I really want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I really, really, really think, because it happens to me so often, I really think that people just don't hear what they're saying the way that we hear it. They don't mean to be rude. Some people do, absolutely. There are absolutely 100% people in the world who are trying to insult you, who are trying to be rude, who are trying to be mean. But honestly, I think like 98% of the people in the world just aren't thinking. They just aren't thinking about what's coming out of their mouth. And I have to give them credit for that. Like I said, it happens to me. So here's where having defined the problem, let me tell you how I think about these situations. And I really have lumped them together. The food pushers, the backhanded complimenters, and the full-on insulters. I tend to think of these three types of behavior as being what I would consider unsupportive. And so I am lumping them all together, and yet we're going to kind of pull them apart in terms of how we deal with them. But the first thing that I want to tell you is that this idea that other people don't support my weight loss, I want to point out to you that that's a thought. Since that's what we talk about here on the Fitness Matters podcast, where we look at our thoughts, we find our thoughts, and then we decide if they're helpful. I want to point this out to you because it sounds so factual in your head. That when we are thinking, when we are hearing, when we are on the receiving end of somebody saying something like, you looked so much better before you lost weight, it can feel really obvious that that person does not support our weight loss. And yet, that is a thought. Here's how we know. Because somebody else could hear that same sentence and react to it differently. The fact of the matter here is that a person is saying words. That's it. That's all that's going on. We are interpreting their words, their facial expressions, the things they do, the things they say as being unsupportive. But even that word, unsupportive, very subjective. One person might define it one way, another person might define it another. That's how you know that this is your opinion, your thought about what somebody is saying and or doing. And I want you to just take a quick moment to pay attention to that thought. Other people don't support me. How does that feel? The word that just came to my mind, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but the word that came to my mind was desolate. That thought just feels sad and alone and bereft in so many ways. So my friends, that is not a helpful thought. That's how we know. When a thought doesn't feel good, it is not a good thought. It is not a helpful thought. So even this whole concept of thinking that other people don't support me on my weight loss journey is not helpful for you. And we're going to come back around to that in a little bit. But for the sake of argument, I still want to kind of pull apart what happens when we take in other people's opinions about what's going on with us on our weight loss journey. And I want to tell you that part of the problem we've already figured it out. Part of the problem is simply the thought, this person doesn't support me or other people don't support me. Part of the problem is how we judge them for telling us their opinions. When somebody says something to you, like you used to look better when you were heavier, why would somebody say that, right? Like, what in the world is a person saying or thinking when they say that? Well, I gotta be honest, I assume that they think they're being helpful in some manner They think that you care about their opinion. They think that you want to hear this. They think they're trying to help you, save you from getting too thin. Like, they have their own reasons. But here's what happens. When somebody says something that feels insulting or unsupportive or like a backhanded compliment or like food pushing, we make it even worse because we think something like, they shouldn't say that to me. We get angry. I mean, at least I do. Let me back up here. I get very angry when I think that somebody shouldn't be saying something to me. And I want you to know that yes, they should. Other people should say the things they say. And you know why? Because they do. Because they have already said things that are insulting, things that are pushing food, things that are backhanded compliments. That's how we know they should say it, because they did. The things that should happen have already happened. And when we argue with the reality that other people shouldn't say or do things, that is simply compounding our misery. When we struggle in this should or shouldn't energy, we're getting nowhere. Should or shouldn't is absolutely an unhelpful thought. Other people have complete agency over what they say and what they do. Other people can and do absolutely 100% of the time say and do things that we disagree with, that we don't like, that we don't want to hear, that we wish they wouldn't. And the really good news is that they should. And the reason that's good news is because that means that you have agency also. You are in 100% complete control of what you say and what you do. That other people don't make us do things, don't make us feel things. Other people are just doing what they do. Other people are other people. And I actually have a couple of other episodes. I'm going to direct you to a couple of other episodes that really kind of pull this apart about what other people should or should not do or say. Episode number 34. I actually looked these up. You are so welcome. Episode number 34, we talk about what you control. And I love this episode. It's absolutely hands down one of my favorites because we talk about what you are in control of. And it is not other people. Spoiler alert. It's not other people, what they say and what they do. Episode number 36 is other people's opinions, which is another great one. We really dive deep on this idea of other people doing and saying exactly what they want to do and say because they can and they should. And then episode 52, I pulled this one out really specifically because my worldview here is that the people who I found to be the least supportive were my family members. And I say that with deep, deep love. But I think that we take our family members' opinions to heart even more so than, strangers on the internet or somebody you meet once or twice or somebody that you work with and only kind of vaguely know. So episode number 52, family, can really kind of dive into that family dynamic, that closer to somebody dynamic that can make this feel a little bit more problematic. But here's the thing. When you accept, truly accept that other people can and should do and say the things that they do and say, it removes that layer of anger and judgment that we put on top of their actual words. And then here's another section of this, coming at this problem of other people not being supportive from another angle. Part of the reason that somebody else feeling unsupportive to us feels like a problem is because of there's a principle in your brain that it wants to agree with itself. And the reason that your brain wants to agree with itself is because it's very energy efficient, meaning that it doesn't have to do any extra work. Your body, for lack of a better way of putting it, your body and your brain are very lazy. And it's not a matter of being laziness. It's actually because they don't know what's coming next. Even though your brain is excellent at predicting things, your brain and your body really don't know what's coming next. So they are constantly on the lookout to conserve energy. It's why your body stores fat. I mean, sometimes even more than we want it to, because it is constantly trying to conserve energy for later, just in case it needs it. Your brain does the same thing. It will think thoughts really efficiently, meaning it'll think the same thought over and over and over again to conserve energy. It wants to agree with itself so it can conserve energy. When you are confronted with a thought that requires you to think about it and consider it and decide whether or not it is something that you want to think, that uses more energy. It's why it feels so uncomfortable to think a new thought, to see yourself in a different way, to behave in a different way, to be a different person. It feels incredibly uncomfortable. That is your brain's feedback. Hey, I have to expend energy, knock it off. So when we are confronted with other people's opinions and we have to kind of decide, do I believe this? Do I not believe this? Is there a grain of truth here? Is there not a grain of truth here? Your brain feels uncomfortable because it's making a decision about whether or not to believe what somebody else is saying. And part of the discomfort here, especially when somebody is saying something that kind of feels like it has a grain of truth, your brain spends time in that place of indecision, that place of not knowing what's true, what's not true, what do I believe, what do I not believe. And part of what can resolve that cognitive dissonance is to actually be really clear for yourself what you are doing. When you go to, and I'm going to actually, just so that in case you are listening to this, let's say mid-July, if you go to a birthday party or any kind of event, any place where there's going to be somebody who might seem like they are unsupportive of your weight loss journey, when you go into it feeling very calm and very clear, and the reason that you would have that feeling is because of your thought. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing what's best for me. I've got this. I'm determined to lose weight because I want to. I'm doing the things that are right for me. That category of thoughts, you notice how all of those thoughts felt calm and clear and confident. When you have had practice with those kinds of thoughts, your brain will spend almost no time at all considering what somebody else is saying to you. When your brain has become efficient at thinking thoughts like, oh yes, of course I'm tracking my calories. Of course I'm going to eat a slice of pizza and a small piece of cake because that fits into my day. Of course, this is exactly what I'm going to do. When your brain has had practice supporting yourself, other people's words will hold almost no weight for you because it will be so diametrically opposed to your own thoughts about yourself. Your brain will simply reject them as being not worthy of consideration. Your brain has a much bigger problem with an idea that's similar to something that you think, but also slightly different. Something diametrically opposed will not bother you at all. You will absolutely, or your brain will just simply reject it as being inconsequential, not something worthy of consideration. But when somebody says something that maybe you think it's true and maybe you don't think it's true and maybe there's some truth to it and maybe there isn't, that's what is so uncomfortable for your brain. So my friends, having that knowledge, knowing that you can prepare yourself before being in a situation where you might be around somebody who will seem unsupportive. Here are my practical tips. Number one, have your own back. Be supportive of yourself. Know with calmness and clarity and certainty exactly what you're doing and why. And if you don't know that already, spend some time with it. Really sit down and journal about, why am I losing weight? Why is this important to me? What am I doing? How do I feel about what I am doing so that you can come to any situation feeling that calmness, that confidence? Having your own back is absolutely the best place to start. And then recognizing when you are in a situation and somebody has already said something to you, that when you notice your back coming up a little bit, when you notice yourself feeling defensive or angry or upset or hurt or bothered, whatever your reaction is, recognize that other people can and do exactly what they do. Other people have dominion over themselves. You have dominion over yourself. You can see their words as just that, somebody else's words, somebody else's thoughts. And here's a quick trick. You guys, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but you know the way that we find our own thoughts and recognize whether or not they are helpful? You can do that with other people also. When somebody says something to you about you looked better when you were heavier, that's a thought. That is their thought. And you can decide for yourself if it's helpful. I'm going to suggest to you that thought isn't. If you notice in yourself that creates a feeling of unhappiness, that's a terrible thought. It is not helpful to you to listen to somebody else's thought. You can decide to simply reject that. Somebody else said words, and that's fine. They're supposed to. Completely okay. And I don't have to take that in because it's not helpful to me. Coming to the situation, having your own back, being supportive of yourself, and recognizing that other people have their own agency can help you feel calm. The other thing that I'm going to offer you is that rather than allowing yourself to think the thought, other people don't support me, why not practice this one? I am supporting myself. And if you want to, this is bonus points. It'll depend on where you are in your mindset journey and maybe even your weight loss journey. What if everything that other people do is supportive of you? Here's what I mean by that. What if the opportunity to notice other people's unhelpful thoughts is actually really supporting your journey because it helps you recognize your own unhelpful thoughts? Here's what I mean by this, and here's pretty much my favorite thing ever. As soon as I started recognizing other people's opinions when they would hurl them at me and I would feel defenseless against them, as soon as I started recognizing that those words and those actions are simply somebody else's thoughts, and I recognize them as unhelpful, what that created in me was so much compassion for how much other people are hurting, for how many unhelpful thoughts that person must be thinking in their own head day after day after day. When I recognized that the junk they were spewing out at me was probably only a small percentage of the junk they were hurling at themselves constantly, it took away all the venom of it. It really made me recognize that all of us are on this journey of recognizing unhelpful thoughts. Some people don't recognize them, and that's their journey. And when you have compassion for that, when you support yourself and can see every single thing around you, all the words, all the actions, all the everything, as being supportive of you because it lends you the opportunity to compassionately observe somebody else's thoughts and recognize them as unhelpful, which is therefore helpful to you, because when you see somebody else's thoughts, it helps you see your own. My friends, everything on your journey is actually supportive of your journey if you choose to see it that way. I'm going to leave that with you because I know that was like a big brains exploding, right? Right. Everybody and everything is supportive of you when you choose to see it that way. You guys, I hope this felt very supportive. Like always. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. If you're getting a lot out of the Fitness Matters podcast and you're ready to take it to the next level, you're going to love the Get Your Goal coaching and accountability group. We take all the theory and knowledge here on the podcast and actually apply it in real life on your real weight loss and fitness goals. It's hands-on, it's fun, and it works. Find out more at paulabfitness.com/get-your-goal. And let's get your goal.